you fans of Let's Talk Chicago Bears. Now, if my voice goes in and out, I'm better today, but I'm fighting a cold. And it's a cold. Remember those days when you could just get a cold and it was no big deal? I'm sure this is what this is. So I'm better today. Yesterday I didn't have a voice and I was like, oh no, how am I going to do my show? But I'm better today. So, but it kind of comes and goes. It's kind of like all up here. Um, and in my ears and stuff. So it's one of those kind of colds. Or it's just really bad allergies because we had terrible winds on Wednesday. That's the thing about Vegas, man. It gets windy here. And when it gets windy, it aggravates my allergies, which just totally sucks. But you didn't really turn on the show to hear about that, did you? No. Okay, we're going to talk about the next game, and then I'm going to finish up with a kind of funny story, true but funny, because this matchup, you can flip a coin who's going to win this game because they both suck, right? Okay, so we're playing Detroit on Sunday at Soldier Field. The Bears are 5-6, and Detroit is 4-7. And this is week 13. The Bears and Detroit have played 181 times. The Bears have won 102 times. Detroit 74. Finally, a team that we've actually got a winning record against, and they have 5 ties. So we're going to go over some statistics, and you know what? It's not pretty for either team, to be quite honest with you. There's one or two that stand out, but that's it. That's why this game is anybody's. Really, what's going to happen in this game is my usual, who makes the least amount of mistakes, least amount of penalties, and the most turnovers in their favor is going to win this game on Sunday. That's just a fact, right? I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Illinois, so I don't know if that's going to be a factor, but I know it's getting cold. It's getting cold here. It's and I don't like it. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so the Bears passing are ranked 23rd in the league with an average about 223. They actually went up a couple spots since last week. Woo! Detroit is 13th in the league with 250 average yards a game because they have Matthew Stafford, and he's a pretty good quarterback. He's just been stuck on a shitty team which in my opinion is cursed. That Detroit team is cursed. I mean, they just are. We are still dead last in the run, even with the good game we had last week, but it's been so bad all year it didn't move us out of last, with the average of still 82 yards a game. Detroit's not much better. They're ranked 27th and with 96.6 yards a game. Now, points scored. Detroit's a little better. We're 29th. Woo! With 19 points, 0.6. So we've been around that most of the year. I'm hoping this week it'll get better because Mitchell got us 25 last week. I predict he's going to get us more, and you'll see why in a minute. And then Detroit is 22nd in points scored when they average about 23 points a game. Now, points allowed, this is where we're much better than they are, and this is the only really place they are. We are 8th with our defense in allowing points. We allow about 22.7. They are 31st in allowing points with almost 30 a game. It's 29.8, so it's about 30 a game. So that's in our favor. That's one thing in our favor. Woo! That's about it, though, guys. Our offense overall ranks 31st. Oh, my God. Can it get any better? And remember, I said the last 2 seasons our offense was finished 29th last season and this season, but now they're 31st. And Detroit's 20th in total offense. Now, we got them on defense again, but our total defense is ranked 38th and, 13th in the league. 38, where the hell did that come from? Okay, so our Detroit is ranked 13th in the league. Detroit's 29th. So we've got some opportunities here with these numbers. Now, of course, we know numbers don't mean anything really when you're down on the field, right? But it it gives you some hope that we have a chance against their defense because their defense isn't really very good. So, and that's about the only thing besides our kicking game that is good on our team, with the exception of that atrocity last Sunday night, which I don't even want to talk about anymore. The Bears have sacked their opponents 21 times, Detroit 16. So we got them beat on that. And then the quarterback is going to be better on Detroit. But Mitchell now, it's kind of hard because Mitchell's played 3.5 games. Matthew, I think he's played all the games. I didn't look because it really doesn't matter that much. He might have missed one, but that's it. He's really been playing. And I think Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. Again, he's been on a crappy team his whole career. And again, I think Detroit, that team is cursed. Something happened somewhere along the line all those years because they've had some. They had one of the greatest running backs who ends up retiring early in his career because he didn't even want to do it anymore because he knew the team wasn't going to go anywhere. So, I mean, they've had their opportunities, and that they've just wiped out. They fired Matt Patricia last weekend and the GM. So I get why teams fire coaches during the season because they want to jump on picking out a coach, but you can't really interview anybody, college or pros, because the games are going on. So I find because you're going to pay them anyway, so I really don't see the purpose, especially when there's 5 games left to fire them. But whatever. I'm not an owner. Clearly, I'm a lady that has no money sitting in Vegas doing this show. So, now let's talk quarterbacks. Mitchell's played 3.5 games. I said he's got 9 TDs and 5 interceptions, and he's been sacked 10 times. Now okay. So obviously Matthew's going to be better because he's played more, but he has 18 TDs, which is pretty nice. And and 8 interceptions. But here's the big one. He's been sacked 31 times. So now our defense should be licking their chops to get him because I think we should do it. And if we don't get at least 2 to 3 sacks, I'm going to be livid on Monday, okay? So let's remember that because then I'm going to be all pissed off, okay? So really, we have a chance there. I really like our chances with getting to him. And if we can get to Matthew, he's going to throw interceptions. You can see that because he's got 8 already. And I think the Bears, they're going to be home. And they have a lot of redemption to do because of the last game. They were, I don't even know what I'm not even going to talk about it anymore, but they were terrible. So they have a lot of making up to do. And then I just wrote down a few stats because there's nothing really else to talk about. But Allen Robinson, he's rocking it right now, even considering that we have no quarterbacks to throw to him. He's got 829 yards. And what kills me about Allen Robinson and the Bears is they pay Robert Quinn, who's in his 30s. Dallas did not re-sign him, so they knew he was out of gas. They give him $70 million in the offseason. He's on defense. But yet they're dicking around Robinson, who is one of our best offensive players and has been. It makes no sense to me. He's going to go somewhere else. Be prepared, people. I don't think he's going to be back with us, and that really hurts. That sucks. I know we have Mr. Mooney, but we need Mr. Mooney and Robinson because that's what I want. I want Miller out. Well, it's not that I want him out, but I want Mr. Mooney to be second and Robinson to be first. So our running back, Montgomery, has 575 yards rushing. Not so good. He did miss one game. Their highest total in receptions is their tight end, and it's Hackinson, TJ Hackinson, and he's got 530 yards, so that's their tight end. So their wide receivers are not the ones doing the big yards, it's their tight end. They have Adrian Peterson, and yes, you heard me right, Adrian Peterson. He's got 444 yards. This is something that really stood out, though. Roquan Smith, our linebacker, he has 101 tackles. Shit, man, that's pretty dang good. 101. And he's a linebacker. And their closest player to Roquan has 82 tackles, and his name is Collins. So, you know what? Again, we're better total defense. We've got better sacks, and we got Roquan. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I was talking about him on Wednesday's show on one of the best signings that Pace did. And somebody reminded me, and I completely forgot it, probably because it was such a bad memory, I blocked it out, that the other big stupid blunder Pace did was signing Glennon. Oh my God. Glennon. He's with Tampa Bay or Jacksonville. He's with one or the other right now. Not Tampa Bay. He's with Jacksonville. And he is still really bad. We gave him $25 million a couple of years ago. I mean, for those, for getting rid of Goal, Glennon, Quinn, and Mitchell, Pace has got to go. Done. Experiment over. Okay, so we're not going to beat that dead horse anymore. So Sunday's game, like I said, is really, you know what, I want to win. I want to win every week. I love my Bears. I am a diehard Bears fan. I think you all know that. I have been for 45 years. One day, I want to go and do the statistics on how many wins and losses I have seen, but I know it's going to be more losses than wins, so it kind of sounds a little depressing, so I don't think I'm going to do it. But I want to win like everybody else. I don't care. People say, oh, don't win now. You'll get a better draft pick. Well, that's bullshit, because you know what? Winning is better. No one wants to sit for 3 hours and watch their team lose. So, and if we still have Pace, we know he can't draft in the first round, so really that ain't going to matter, is it? So, put it this way. If they don't fire Pace, they better fire Nagy. And that's all. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to talk about a story that happened back in 1983, and it's all true. And it's pretty funny. And it made me think of it because we're playing Detroit this week, and this happened on October 30th, 1983, and it was in Soldier Field, and coincidentally enough, we were playing the Detroit Lions. And the Bears were bad that year. Now, that was the second year under Ditka, so he was starting to get things together. But so some friends of ours, the Bears, now this was the old Bears Stadium, so it was much bigger. I think that stadium held like 68 to 70,000 people, but they weren't selling out at this point. That game had 50,000, they said, so they didn't sell out. So anyways, a friend of ours called us up, and I believe he got these tickets from his office, because back then, remember, the good old days that companies would buy Bears tickets and give them out to their employees a lot of times. Yeah, I'm sure that don't happen no more, but it did happen. And sometimes they would go to the best worker, or you would do drawings for him and stuff. So our friend did get because he was high up in the company, he got 4 tickets, and they were on the 40-yard line. They were good tickets. Best seats I've ever sat in a Bears game, and we were pretty darn close. Close enough to be checking out the Bears' butts. But I also know my friends brought binoculars. So my friends are Sue and Larry. They got us the tickets. So Sue, Larry, Bill, and I went. And they were horrible. They ended up losing that game 38 to 17. So anyways, we're sitting out there, and, we're just having a fun. Me and my girlfriend are having a great time. Larry and Bill are talking. We're watching the game, and my girlfriend, she's got the binoculars. I'm like, what are you looking at? She's like, they're butts. They got some damn cute butts. So she started picking them out, and then I was checking them out because we were so bad, and because Detroit was just going up and down the field. And we were not. So then across the aisle, I was sitting on the end of the aisle, and across the aisle was an older gentleman and his friends. And we started talking, because I'll talk to anybody. And we basically started talking about the only way the Bears are going to win again is when George Halas is dead, and then they start making better decisions, because George was always known to be so cheap. Back in the 60s, Buckus said that he threw nickels around like they were man covers, or the covers that go over sewers covers. I mean, and he said he would throw those around, nickels. That's how cheap he was. So that's what we kept saying all game. Never going to be good until Halas has got his hands off. George Halas has got his hands off that game because he, the only thing we all agreed on was that he hired Ditka, but things weren't turning around yet. But we're like, that was probably the best move he had made for quite a while. And so we went back and forth the whole game. His group, the older gentleman's group, and our group, and then people around us all started doing it. We were just partying, and basically, we were all just saying, the man's got to die before we're going to win again. So, and, it's really not very cool to be doing that. I mean, that's kind of bad karma. And, later in my life, I did get a lot of bad things that happened, but I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with it. It was probably already in the cards that I was going to have shit-ass karma. I'm pretty sure it was from my previous life. I think I was an asshole in my previous life, so that's why I was dealt this, to come back to this earth and be better. And for the most part, I'm rocking it. So anyways, so we're doing all this, we're drinking beers and all getting drunk, and the more drunk we got, hell, this has got to go, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, and there's one thing I wanted to mention too is, so the Bears really, were bad, and they didn't really start turning it around until 1984. And this is one thing I wanted to tell you before I finish my story, is the Bears 1984 draft class was the third of the top 10 best draft class in history so far. Because if you go back and look at that and you see the names, you're like, holy shit. So having the bad record the year before helped, because did they get some guys. I was kind of interesting to see it's still on the best. It's the third best out of the 10, and that was in 1984, okay? So, and coincidentally, that was after George Halas died. So, it's October 30th, 1983. We go home, go to sleep, wake up the next day. I have the TV. I'm getting ready for work, TV on, and all of a sudden, breaking news. Oh, okay. George Halas died. I'm like, what? They said George Halas died early this morning on October 31st, Halloween, 1983. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm not kidding you. I'm like, we killed him. All of us at that game yesterday killed that poor man. My husband's in the shower. I run downstairs. I'm knocking on the shower door, and I'm like, Bill. He's like, what? I hear him in there, and I run into the bathroom. He's like, what's wrong? He goes, I go, oh my God, what'd you hear? And he's like, so he's thinking it's, something with the family. He's like, what? I go, George Halas died. And he's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I go, we killed him. I killed him. And he's like, no, you didn't. I said, oh my God, all those horrible things we said about him yesterday. And so I'm thinking to myself, I bet that older man that I was going back and forth with, because him and I started it, was probably thinking the same thing as me. We killed the poor man. So I got to tell you what, we had a good laugh about that for quite a while. I mean, no disrespect at the end of the day. I really was sorry the man died. But I'm thinking, you know what? I'm thinking pretty much we killed him. And it was just like, holy crap. So then I got to thinking, a couple days later, man, if I have that power, there's a few other people I'd like to get rid of on this earth. I'm just kidding. But isn't that funny, though? You got to think about it. I mean, can you imagine how you would feel the next day after you had just ripped the man to shreds? And we did. I think from the second quarter on to the end, because by the end we were all loaded, we were just, oh, he's gotta go. Is he here? Let's get him. Yeah, I mean, it was just hilarious. So that is my Chicago Bear Detroit Lions story, and that's what we're playing this week. And I thought it was just kind of apropos to just tell you that story because it is pretty funny. I got a million bear stories. I can't remember if I've told some of them. I got a great Monday night story. And that's the one I'm not sure if I told. So I got to go back and look at my notes and see if I did. But it's maybe next week I'll tell that story. It's a story of the first time that the refrigerator in 1985 was it 85 or 84? I can't remember. It might have been I think it was 85 when he scored his first touchdown, and it was in Soldier Field. So that's a great story, and we were there. So, anyways, so that's it. I don't have much more. You know what? I'm making it shorter after I made you listen to that 30-minute one on Wednesday. So, you know what? Let's root for the Bears, scream and yell, because a win is a win is a win. And I want Mitchell to do good. I really do. I'm really happy he's playing. Oh, I heard Hicks is playing. Mac, I came to the press conference late this morning, and I don't know if Mac's playing. You guys probably do. But I'm more want Hicks in there than Mac, quite honestly, and he's coming back, so that's a good thing. And everybody else is pretty much playing. So let's go Bears. Let's hope they win. I appreciate you watching my show. I love you guys. I mean, I'm really having a blast. I hope you're enjoying my show as much as I'm enjoying doing it for you. And as I always leave the show, be kind to one another, help anybody out if they need it, a neighbor or a loved one. We're all in this together. This year is almost over, and then we can start new again. So take care, and as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. All right, you guys, go Bears!